Well, hello, my pickles, all in the same jar. How are you doing today? Well, the It Can Be Intense podcast is certainly getting a lot of great comments, and I'm loving it. And I guess it rattles cages and gives people things to identify with, so I'm really, really happy. And one woman, Susan, she said it's been 4 months and she's given up the artificial sweeteners, and I'm so proud of her. It's things like that that I love to hear. It's like if we keep grinding on something, suddenly it doesn't seem like such a bad idea. And after I spent $60 on 4 stevias with different flavors, I haven't used them in 3 weeks. So, oh well, there we go. So, one of the things, when I work my overnight, I just kind of go with the flow and the podcast, and you never know what's going to come up that's just going to capture me. And I have more uninterrupted time. Oh yeah, prisoner or two. That's all. But, yep, I put the TV on mute, and I just listen away to podcast after podcast. And I get all kinds of filled with great ideas. And one of the things I was thinking of, especially if you're a newcomer, or if you are getting bored, kind of in your routine, wishing the kids were back in school, actually hoping for a little bit cooler nights and things like that, tired of prepping all the meals and food that you have to do for everybody else in the house, so it makes your like a little salad, you feel like buying that bag of salad, just pouring it in a bowl, a mixing bowl, and adding some Evu and calling it, your meal, because the self-care kind of goes out a little bit when you're surrounded by little ones that are waiting for the next, can we? Bring me. What is it? What did I used to say to my kids? Buy me, bring me, take me. Mommy, mommy, please. Bring me, buy me, take me. Yeah, I remember those days. 35, 40 years ago. So anyway, I was listening to 2 men that are kind of, second, third tier celebrities, because they sometimes deal with celebrities. So it was great listening to the 2 of them. In fact, it was brilliant. And the interview took an hour, and it was really a mutual admiration sort of interview, which I loved. And they had worked together at some point, and they just really respect each other. They're in the same field with 2 different ways of looking at things. And one of them I know is more paleo than keto. And the other one is more motivational than what you put in your mouth. It's more about, do you really want to have that and why type of coaching. Food coaching, emotional coaching, spiritual coaching, and just get your act together and go do it coaching. So as the 2 of them were talking, I was just filled with so many goosebumps. It was such a great interview. And so then they both got into how they start their day. And I just love that. I feel like I'm just a visitor in somebody's private, intimate, how you start your day, And, I'd love to do one for you guys just to show you, what happens. Well, I'll tell you. I wake up usually naturally, more towards 3, sometimes towards 4, and I sleep very well. And so these are on my non-work nights. And I get up, and I have my coffee prepped, and I have in it the diatomaceous tablespoon. I have 4 grams of the amino peptides. I have 1 tablespoon of either the pasture-raised butter or 1 tablespoon of Calapo coconut oil, and a half of a teaspoon of Xyla. And that's already prepped. So then after it drips, I add 15 grams of heavy whipping cream and then fill to the mark on the NutriBullet with almond milk, almond cashew coconut milk, you know, any one of those combos. And then I NutriBullet it, and I just sit there with the froth for a second or two. And then I break it up into, you know, these are probably 4 half cups of that. And I have that before my walk and after. And I also have a 20-ounce glass of water that I have half of a lemon squeezed into it. And actually the lemon juice is squeezed into 2 teaspoons of the Terrasol wheatgrass juice powder, 1 teaspoon of potassium citrate, and 1 teaspoon of magnesium citrate. And so I kind of mix up that little paste and mix it. The wet part is the lemon juice. So I kind of have that while the water's heating up and while the coffee's dripping. And I have a Keurig for later in the day, but this is just like one of those pour-over drip things. And then, so I kind of have that with like a little mini cook's type spatula and have it, and it's ghastly as you get used to it, and now I'm so used to it, it's just part of the deal. You know, it's just like when you have coffee without all the added sweeteners in it for the first time. It's like, I'll never get used to this, and now I don't even realize I'm having it. My reward will be my bulletproof latte. And then I drink my water, and then I pad my way into this room that you see here, which is my office. I have an office, and Greg has an office. And I think as an older person, and Greg as an older person, we could never kind of share the same laptop sitting on the granite tabletop that we don't have in the kitchen like you see in these sleek kitchens. No, no. And his office is his style and mine is mine. And so I immediately attempt to upload a podcast, and sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. If you have your own channel, you know what I'm talking about. And then I check my emails, then I check my phone for texts or any voicemails. Most people know that I'm either a text or email person. And I go about my day. So I'm uploading that, I'm answering emails, and then I go for my walk. And it is a 2.6-mile walk, and I will do that, and then come back in, have the rest of this, move the podcast that is now all the way uploaded on YouTube onto my Facebook page that nobody really comments on. I don't know why, but they don't. But that's okay, because I'm getting a boatload of them on YouTube. And if I have time, I listen to the podcast that I did for the day, so I know a lot about what you people are talking about. And sometimes I listen to it on my walk, unless it's somebody like this interview that I listen to. And so they were talking about what they both travel because they both, they're authors, and then one man works with celebrities. So they wake up in places that aren't their homes. And so they have to have their routines and little rituals all in place so they don't get oogly. And so one of them does an incantation. He writes down 5 things he's grateful for. He meditates. He has, I think he talked about a water. He has a water. He didn't talk about coffee. He does 1 minute of whatever his exercise of the day will be. Just 1 little minute. He'll do more later. He's into chin-ups at this time. And then when he has to go out and greet the world, he's taken care of himself. And that's what I say too. I kind of call it my first possibility hour. It's possible to have a great day if I take care of all the little things. And I feel successful because of being content. And it was a long time coming. I had a lot of complications and chaos and yucky stuff in my life. Being an addict, being an alcoholic, and then working with them for 10 years, it was kind of chaotic. And it was kind of like I was still doing the addiction by proxy. So I was sober, but working with them. And so it was, I had to be on as soon as I entered the door. Now I need to be on when I'm doing a podcast. And so for me, just like for these two gentlemen, there's a lot of behind-the-scene things that we do. Sometimes when I have a Sarah school or something else, I know what I'm doing, and I take notes like this, and I bring them to the podcast and enter them in. And then other times, my food already has to be in the chronometer if I'm going to show it to you, right? So that's another prep thing. Well, also, is the food in the house? So I can't be telling you I'm going to have 4 ounces of a certain protein unless, it's already in the house, assuming I'm not going to get hit by a car. What's wrong? I have a cat that's whining. It's Barney. So anyway, your AM head and so one of the things that I do know is that my 2.6 mile walk before anybody sees me for the day, preferably when it's dark, as it gets lighter later, it stays more dark for my walk. It's helping this too. So it's not just the physical part of it, it's that whole rhythm and rotation. And if any of you do a morning sort of thing like that, it's just part of the rhythm and rotation of putting everything in order. It's kind of like defragging the day from yesterday and putting in place all the things that you want to do today. I love the listing the 5 grateful things. And he said he does it by hand. And I guess that must make a difference for him as well. So by the time I get back from my walk, it takes about 45 minutes, 2.6 miles, sometimes less than 45 minutes. But when I get back from it, then starts the preparation to leave the house. But all the way up until the walk, it's really filling my cup. It's my possibility hour. I'm lining up my food. I'm lining up, well, obviously, what I've taped and prepped, and that takes, a little bit of work. It's not like I'm all graphics and, explosions and cute little things inserted. I have no idea how to do any of that. So you're just getting the old Sarah in her bathrobe, sometimes dressed, and that's how it rolls. And so, yes, I'm up at 3, and yes, the first time a human being sees me, besides Greg, it's 7:30 in the morning. So a lot is going down. When I get back from my walk, in addition to getting ready for the day, I will also do food prep, meal preparation. I'll start my salad, and, things take time. You know that. And when I was heading out the door for an 8, 9, or 10-hour shift, I don't know how I did it, but I pulled it off. Would I ever want to go back to it? No. I will never change the feeling of contentment and joy ever again. The overnights don't even bother me. Isn't that weird? Like, people say, oh, how can you do that? It's like, no, how can I work during the day again? So I love my overnights. They just seem to work. And I get a lot of thinking time done there. And it's like, I'm paid to think. I'm paid to watch my mentors that inspire me so I can do more podcasts and work on myself. It's just such a wonderful feeling. And, and then one of them said he doesn't judge a person by, I'm going to edit it. I'm going to edit him. He doesn't judge a person by what shows he watches or movies he sees. He judges him by the books in his library. So that's another interesting thing too. And some of us don't read anymore. I try to. Of course, I'd get bad grades. I got the books, but have I finished them? I am awaiting the food industry book, though, because I think it's going to really shine a light on how we're messed with here in the United States. But I digress. So, these two gentlemen put a lot of prep into their day. They have streamlined it like I've streamlined mine. I don't think I could go without doing my little routines and rituals. That's probably why I feel the success and the contentment and the joy that I feel. And it's totally personal. You know, it's not like getting, you know, the trophy home or the fancy car or fancy clothes or getting my nails done every week because I can. It's none of that. It's the inside job that gets taken care of by prepping. And a lot of us that are listening to this have spent many, many years not practicing self-care, not taking the time to see what we need to do, not seeing that that has become a bad habit, that part of the ritual. We now need to look at that. And so maybe when you're taking a walk, you look at something like that and you say, what can I do? Sometimes we have to replace something that's a bad habit with a good habit. There's just a void that we have to kind of fill, right? So we can go as deep and as wide as we want with our keto lifestyle. The under 20 staying that way. I'm not thinking about having other foods. I'm not thinking like I did as a Weight Watcher with how I can fill my points with garbage. So I can go to count total carbs and really have 40 carbs. But because I'm doing total carbs, it looks like 20 on paper. I'm not doing that. I'm doing, net carbs. I'm doing 20 total carbs because anything grainy or sugary or desserty or what looks like it might be allowable, not to me. Can't. Don't want to. So I kind of, I'm a boring record. Records are for those of you who are my age, right? It's like it skips and it goes back and it skips and it goes back. I'm boring that way, but boring remains safe for me. And when I'm safe, I'm content. And when I'm content, I feel joy. I see joy. I want to be of service to others. And it is how I like to operate my day. Keto Under 20, that's the beginning. That's the foundation, and it's this big. It's this big. Keto Under 20, and above that is the walk and the 12-step meeting and the meditating and the being grateful, if only in my head and not written down, talking to you people, answering your comments, helping where I can. It's quite a lifestyle, and consider yourself chosen if you are in this lifestyle, because not everybody gets it or wants it or works continuously for it. To me, it's the greatest gift ever. And I probably understand why my higher power had me wait until I was 66 to get here. I get it. Have a wonderful day. This has been Sarah, Pearls of Wisdom, with a little spiritual side to this whole deal that we're doing here. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye for now.